2009, and I will give you wait time. And maybe I can help you out by telling you that I'm interested in Section 3, subparagraph E, which deals with the purchase of an ambulance and other vehicles for municipal purposes.
Right.
Who will receive these vehicles, and why is it that they're being purchased for those persons? I suppose Jim Barber is probably the one to answer.
I think he addressed that, but
every 4 years, approximately 4 years, we buy a new ambulance, we recycle it down, and the others, it depends on, I know I need to buy.
what's the estimate, Jim, of the cost of the ambulance?
Between 170 and 175.
So the remaining amount is about $25,000, as you said earlier, a little less than that.
We have about 80,000 in an old bond for other vehicles. I know I have to replace a couple vehicles for public works next year. I have to replace a vehicle for beach patrol. And God knows whatever else will break down. Or when we look at our inventory, which vehicles need to be replaced. We just don't know that.
What is the criteria for replacing a vehicle?
They don't run.
You're saying that all these vehicles that are being replaced do not run?
Well,
Some of them don't run. Some of them, the maintenance on them is
Not cost effective.
more than it's worth keeping the vehicle. There's a number of reasons why you buy it.
As a stimulus for the economy. People
No,
are
we
moving.
don't buy it for that reason.
But seriously, Jim,
We
is
buy it for need.
yeah, is there an inventory of vehicles? Do you keep an inventory of vehicles, who uses them, who gets them, the
Absolutely.
mileage?
Absolutely.
Could I have access to that?
You already taxed it. One of your people here died just not too long ago.
Okay,
So it's available.
Okay.
There you have it. Take JP.
who?
JP.
Gee.
The guy just wrote the editorial about vehicles. For cars, I think you get a pony, you know. Lives on Ocean Avenue.
Well,
I don't know
could
who you're referring to, Jim.
Since we're not sure,
This company got a whole list of all the vehicles and everything is assigned. So,
Well, Jim, why would you assume that I know him?
why?
Why would you assume that I know
He
him?
used to work in the restaurant.
JP?
Yeah.
And what's his name? I don't know what JP stands for. Joe Picardi? I don't think I've ever had a Joe Picardi work in my restaurant. No. Thank you.
Now, Burlington?
Art Burlington?
Mark, yeah.
What about him?
He's right there.
He's with him.
Yeah.
I don't understand what you mean. I happen to know who Art Burlington is. He's a customer.
Oh, he's a customer?
Right.
okay, Mr. Dragon, any other questions?
yes, I hope that at some time you're going to reconsider whether or not to record executive session minutes. And the reason why is, and I've said this before, and I think you all know that the Open Public Meetings Act, the whole purpose of it is for transparency, to see what you folks are doing, and every community. This is not just limited to Brigantine. If you look at the cases, if you even look at the legislative intent, if you look at the very beginning of the Open Public Meetings Act, it says that when you do things in secret, the public gets the impression that there's something wrong going on. They want to see what's going on. Sure, the minutes, sometimes you can't publish them right away for various reasons. And the same thing could be said of the tapes. They could be held until such time as you publish the minutes. And if there's something in there that's of a confidential nature, they could be excluded. And there are cases on it, and I'm not going to bore you with the cases. But there do seem to be conflicts that are raised from time to time, and it really would be helpful to you and to the public to have it recorded and be able to say, here's what we said in the executive session, and if there's a conflict, the answer will be very obvious.
Well, as you know, nothing is foolproof. We actually had a tape at one point that was recorded here in open session, and we had a councilwoman at the time who thought we hired an actress to dub her voice. and actually went to the prosecutor's office to tell them that she didn't cast that vote, and we must have hired somebody to cast a vote for her. So nothing is foolproof.
But this really would solve the problem. Okay.
Mr. Gaspar, can I ask you a question? When it comes to depositions or any kind of court recording, isn't it true that they don't use the tape recorder because of the confusion it might cause as to who said what, and that's why they use a transcriptionist?
Well, for years and years, the stenographer, they took notes by hand and they transcribed them, and then they went to the transcription machine, and then now they've gone to a system where they're attempting to take the verbatim testimony off of tapes. But I can tell you that in our municipal court, when we've had appeals from cases, it's very difficult to listen to the tape and determine what happens. So, I mean, that's the far end of problems with the taping, is that an ordinary person may not be able to really determine what's going on. I think the reason for not having the tape in executive session has to do with the free and open discussion among the people that are charged to make the decision in the 9 sensitive areas that the law, I can't recite all 9 of them, but certainly we know that litigation and personnel matters, they're very sensitive things. They may not result in adverse action to someone. They may not result in what people think it ought to be. And if when you're discussing that matter, you may be taking a position that is entirely inconsistent with the end result. And that's why the law absolutely does not require executive sessions to be taped. If you do tape them, then you're maybe obligated to release them. That was the Atlantic City Press case. But your purpose in going into executive session is not to hide anything from the public. It's to conduct your affairs in such a way as you could reach a resolution without impairing the public good, or without offending maybe a person who's not really involved in the situation. So it's a matter of discretion. And as the city manager said, very few municipalities tape their executive session. Do any? Did you find any?
Yeah, there's
Just a couple, yeah.
Atlantic City, of course, we know what happens in Atlantic City. They tape them, and they also have a
Stenographer.
So, but you know how much that costs? And there is an expense to it, too.
Well, thank you, Mr. Rankin.
I just want to respond to Mr. Gasparo. On the technical issue, in my own practice over many years, we've taken depositions with multiple lawyers, multiple people in a room, and never had any problem deciphering what was said. Stenographers frequently have a little recording device along with their stenographic thing, just to check themselves in case they didn't get something correct. There is a case, I think it's a Supreme Court case, in fact, I'm pretty sure it was, where a township did record executive session meetings, and the press wanted to get a copy of that tape, and the Supreme Court said, yes, you're entitled to it. If there's anything confidential on it, if there's anything very sensitive, it could be just censored out. So it could be used, and I think it would be a great thing for the public to know really what is going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Phil, can I make one comment? Phil, I was just wondering,